Hello everyone, I'm Tracy and welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to be showing you guys my latest brush haul from CD Japan. And I have 2 face brushes and 3 eye brushes. And I didn't finish my makeup because I'm going to try to demo them all, which I shouldn't have a problem. Okay, so I'm going to start with the face brushes. And okay, this one is... you know, they didn't name these. Actually, all of the ones I'm going to talk about, they didn't name them. They're most of them are Koyudo, and one of them is an Eihodo brush. I'll put the, I guess what it's labeled, I'll put it down below in the description. But this one is a squirrel goat mix from Koyudo. I'm pretty sure this is limited, and I really love the way Koyudo makes these mixes. It's different from, for example, the Eihodo mixes, as you can see. So what they do is the squirrel hair brushes, the squirrel hairs are longer than the goat hairs. So you're going to get the ends of the brush are going to be softer, and I believe that the goat hair is more like on the perimeter of the brush. I don't know if you can really see that, because I'm guessing it kind of supports the brush and gives it a little bit more resilience, versus the Eihodo, these are like evenly mixed. And it seems like with this one in particular, there's more squirrel hair. It just seems like there's more squirrel hairs. But I absolutely love this mix. This brush is soft, like soft beyond I could have ever expected. I would say even softer than the Eihodo mixes. And it's a round flat shape. I love this shape. It's a little bit squared off at the same time, which I thought was kind of unique. I haven't washed this one. I haven't even used it. So I'm going to use it for the first time right now. And the last I checked, they do have this on CD Japan, and I believe Fude Beauty carries this as well. If they do, I'll put a link down below. So I'm going to do powder with this brush because I haven't powdered yet. And I think it'll be better if I turn that off. And I'm going to use, I guess I'll just use this by Terry pressed translucent powder, and I'm going to do my eye. I'm going to finish my eye makeup at the end because I want to powder first before I do that. So that picked it up really easily. I just like little tap like that. So that is nice. I'm going to zoom you guys in a little bit. Now with setting powder, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this. I'm going to just tap it, especially around the eye area. I just kind of, I put a little bit more foundation on right now, so my foundation is a little tacky, so I'm trying not to move anything around by patting. I'm going to use this later for blush. It's shedding a little, but that's to be expected. So I really like how that is applying the powder. It's kind of slightly, you know, mattifying my foundation, but in a very light way. Like it's not putting a lot on, but it's putting enough on. I'm going to be using powder bronzer and powder blush, so I want to make sure I powder this area pretty well. And it's pretty hot today, so my skin is a little stickier than usual. Give you guys a little bit of a closer look. It is one, I know I say this about a lot of brushes, but this one is softer than I expected, and I feel like it's softer than the other Koyudo mixed brushes that I have. So I'm really happy with this one. The exchange rate was very favorable when I got this. So it was it was under $100, so I was very happy to pay that for this brush. Something you want to note is it's a short handle and there's no inscription of anything, no Koyudo, no anything like that. It's like a plastic handle, it's not wood, and so it's very basic. I'm not sure why Koyudo didn't label any of these because the other ones are the same, but this one is pretty new. And the last I checked, CD Japan still has this one. So that's that one. I'm gonna probably come back to this for some blush later. This one is an outlet brush. I did check last night and CD Japan did have a few. This one is the Eihodo Outlet Blush Brush number 93. So when I am shopping for an outlet brush, I've bought many over the years. I tend to like the ones that if I'm buying like a squirrel hair outlet brush, I tend to buy one with a round ferrule. I feel like when you get a round ferrule, you're not gonna get like a really sparse brush. Sometimes when they're flat, I've received a few that were kind of skimpy on the hairs, and I feel like they're not as useful when they're too thin. But this one is, these hairs are really, really soft, really fine. I'm very happy with this. The main reason I got it is I liked the gray handle. It's not very common to see. And there's no label, but this is one of their latest Eihodo outlet brushes. And CD Japan has been doing a lot of outlet brushes, outlet sales. So I'm really, really pleased with that because I love getting a deal, you know, especially with how much they cost nowadays. So I'm gonna have to get my hair back. I'm gonna use this LYS No Limits matte bronzer. I've had this for a while and I really like it. I just never really, I guess I just kind of got away from it. So I'm going to use the round outlet brush. I picked up a lot, pretty. I really like doing my bronzer with a brush like this because you can really control how much goes on. It's not going to heavily apply your powder products because it's, you know, it's squirrel hair. It's a little bit harder to mess up, and if you do put a little bit too much, if you were just to buff that product in, it should smooth out any unevenness. I really like how that worked. And this is generally how I use these type of brushes. Because it's so soft, this is not a dense brush. I'm comfortable doing all this swirling because it's not going to move anything around that you have on already. And this bronzer is kind of on the warmer side, but I'm totally fine with that because it is a warm day. I kind of wanted to have a little bit of a tan look. I really, really like how this worked. I'm going to come back to it to do some finishing powder. I like doing my finishing powder with a brush like this. Now these are going to be all eye brushes, and these are all fairly new releases, and they're all Koyudo. And this one is the longest of the Koyudo eye brushes I got. It's made of pine squirrel hair. I'll put the details down below so I don't get the information wrong. But the main reason I wanted to get this one in particular is it has a square handle, which is very unique. Koyudo tends to do this shape quite a lot, but again, no engraving, no inscription. So yeah, I really don't know why they didn't do that. So I'm going to use the Pat McGrath. I love this palette. It's the Love palette with the 6 shades, and I'm going to use, I'll just put these shimmers on. These shimmers are pretty chunky and they do tend to create fallout, so I'm going to be really, really gentle. I'm not going to put on like too much at once. And I'm gonna just pat right here. So pine squirrel hair, it's not going to perform like a Kolinsky brush or a horsehair brush. I'm noticing that it's not putting on, it's not like painting on the shimmer, but it is, and it is actually creating a pretty decent amount of fallout. It's not necessarily the brush. This formula that I've been using does create a lot of fallout. Well, actually, you know what? I'm going to use the next brush for the other side. And this is the Koyudo Kolinsky limited edition brush. And of course, I got it because it's a Kolinsky hairbrush. They're very hard to come by now. And this really reminds me of the Eihodo GS5, which is a very popular brush. It looks really like identical to that, so which I'm fine with because I really like that brush. Kolinsky, in my opinion, tends to hold on to the shimmer a little better, which is good, creating a little less fallout, and it tends to kind of like pat the shimmer on, paint the shimmer on. So if you're looking for intensity out of your shimmers, I think you'll like a brush like this if you haven't tried one already. I'm seeing a little bit of fallout, but not as much as on the other side. I feel like it went on a little bit more evenly, and it has a more, actually has like a little bit of a more a subtle look. This one is pretty intense. I'm going to try to get a little more on there. So I like this one. I can tell I like this one better than the pine squirrel brush that I just used. All right, now this is the last brush I'm going to be talking about, and it's the smallest of the eye brushes I got, and I believe this is 11 millimeters. It's another pine squirrel brush, and this one is very thin, very fine. I'm going to try to line with this as well. And the coloring is it's like lighter than the other one. So I'm gonna line and then maybe do a little bit of shimmer in the inside there. So I'm gonna use this dark matte shade. I hope this works out. I really like how that lined. Yeah, that was so easy, and I think it came out really nice. It's an intense line, but not as intense as like a pencil brush. It's very comfortable too. Because it's a squirrel hair brush, it's just not, the hairs aren't going to be too firm. I'm really impressed at how this brush is lining. Just do a little bit on the top line, top lid. I'm really liking the way things are coming out. It has a very like smoky eye look and a little bit of fallout. I just try to get it off as soon as possible with like a really light brush. I really, really like that. All right, and then I'm gonna use the, I'll go in with the Kolinsky brush for the inner part of my eye. It's working out better like this. This Kolinsky brush I think is better for like a smaller area. Not so much for all over lid shade. I'll use the Eihodo GES1 to kind of blend this all together. Yeah, I'm really liking that so far. I'm gonna go and do a little bit more liner and my mascara off camera, and I'll be right back. Alright, so I finished my eyes, and as I was looking, I don't like the way that bronzer came out because I just feel like it's a little orange. I don't remember it being so warm, so I put a